Hi Sharks, welcome back. Today is an episode of You Asked For It, and I have two different questions that I will be going over. The first one from Catherine Lampman. She says, I have a question for your next Q&A video. I am not a big fan of yellow ochre. It seems muddy and lifeless to me. I usually add a little yellow to it to liven it up. Is there another color or mix of colors that I can use in place of yellow ochre that will give me that earthy golden color without the mud? The answer to that is yes, and adding yellow to it is not going to unmud it. The reason you're getting mud is because it's not a transparent color. A lot of those earth tones, the browns and things that we use, are actually earth mineral based colors, which means that they are from the dirt basically, which is why you're getting mud. And when you put it on heavily, it becomes more and more opaque, and if you mix it with anything, it's just going to be a different color mud, but it'll still be mud. So I'm going to give you some alternatives for that in just a minute. And then my other question, I searched and searched and searched and searched for this person's comment, and now I cannot find it anywhere. Normally I take a snapshot of it. I must have thought I did and didn't or something. But anyway, for that, the woman asked if there was another alternative, a cheaper alternative or inexpensive alternative for watercolors. I believe she's just starting out. And she thought she bought the, this one. What's it called? Is it Sakura or Kuretake or the Koi watercolors by Sakura? It's a cute little field sketch set, and I have been guilty of buying it myself and quickly decided I didn't like it. I love the palette. I think the palette is really clever, the way it's set up. It's very cute because it's got the ring on the bottom, and it's set up so that if you drop it, you don't lose everything. It's got a water brush in it, which it comes with. It comes with two separate sponges. I'm sorry, mine's so dirty, so that you can rinse your sponge on either side. And whether you're a lefty or a righty, it gives you the option of putting your palette on one side or the other. Well, what could be bad about it, you ask? There's nothing bad about it, but many Asian-based watercolors are semi-transparent. They don't use a lot of transparent watercolor, and it could be a cultural thing. I'm not sure why it is. Here in the U.S., most watercolor artists tend to lean more toward transparent watercolors or granulating watercolors, which have a mix of transparency and then a heavier grained pigment that sinks to the bottom and settles onto your paper. So the transparent watercolors basically allow the light through, and allowing the light through to the white of the paper gives it a bounce back reflection, and you get this beautiful transparency and luminosity that you're not going to get with paints like yellow ochre or other earth tones like the umbers. Raw umber's an exception. Burnt sienna is a little more like that, although that's more transparent too. But anyway, some of the earth tones can be like that. So she wanted to know which one. I may be mixing up two people. Somebody else may have asked me about the koi set, and I said, no, don't get the koi set. That's right. That was a private email. So anyway, there are some alternatives. Now, she said inexpensive alternatives, and I don't know what inexpensive is. What inexpensive is to me might be very expensive to someone else, or might be very low to someone else. So, I checked some prices of some different watercolors that I feel are very good. The first one, I should have pulled all of these out here. I've got several that I've reviewed so many for you guys. Let's see here. That one, that one, that one. Where's my other one? I was looking for my core set. There's the label. But my core set I brought out for something else, and now I can't find it. I used it in another video. Huh. Have no clue where I put it. But anyway, the set of core 24 watercolors, they are highly pigmented, and they have a terrific flow, which means when you put them onto wet paper, they are just going to spread like wildfire. That can be difficult for a beginner to start out using these paints because it's harder to control them. But it's up to you. They are beautiful, absolutely gorgeous colors. And you can get a set of 12 on Amazon right now for $39, or the set of 24 for about $75. And they come in two. This is what it looks like. And if you use this palette, you get this many tubes, and the tubes hold each tube. No, it's 5 ml. They're 5 ml tubes, but they're pretty full. And then I had to put my colors on here. Well, it doesn't leave you any place to mix them. So I recommended taking these out and making a watercolor palette by sticking pans in the bottom of this with magnets, and then using this as your mixing tray, and you're all set. And you don't even have to buy another palette. So that is a good buy. These are great paints. Another one that I really, really recommend is the Mission Gold watercolors by Magello. And on Amazon right now, you can buy a set of 36 for $62. And they come with tubes of paint in the tube. There's 4 packs like this. So each tube, I don't know if these are also 5 ml. They seem smaller, but 7 ml. They're actually bigger. They come in tubes like this. And anyway, I think that these are excellent watercolors. There's only one in here that is fugitive, and that's the Opera Pink, which is a lot of people's favorite color, but Opera Pink in any brand you're going to have a problem with. But if you're just starting out and you get some fading of color over time, it's not the biggest of deals. When I started out, it wasn't important to me. Nobody even explained it to me, so I didn't know. But I was buying Daniel Smith because my teacher was buying Daniel Smith, and she got me hooked on it, and that's where I've stayed. I love Daniel Smith paints. I like these too, and I'll use them from time to time. But when I'm working on an art piece, I go to Daniel Smith. And part of that is because I know the pigments. I know how long they're going to last because I've already checked all that. And I buy the specific colors that I like. And I know how they're going to work on the paper. So I feel confident with them. And some of these others have more flow to them, meaning they're going to get all over the place, and I don't want to lose control. That and the amount of pigment that I put on my brush. That's an adjustment. It's something you got to use day after day to get used to it. But if you're switching between brands, it's very hard for a beginner to get used to those things. So this is another great set. The palette comes with it, and you can refill it over and over. Now, another set that a lot of crafters like, and I bought just to check it out, actually Tio Yai-Chi got me involved in it, was the Gansai Tambi set. And this set is a nice set, beautiful set, except it's another Asian set and has many non-transparent paints. Although when I did my little sheet here, I can pretty much see all the lines under everything. Nothing was covered up. So part of that is how heavily you're going to put your pigment down. Another thing is that it comes by number, not by name. So that makes it a little harder. It has a little plastic shield that comes on top. So you can use it for a mixing tray if you want to use that in here. But this is a cardboard box. So you can make a new palette with it by using a tin and putting a magnet on the bottom. But these pans are enormous. They're a couple inches wide. They pop out of here. if I can pop one out without spilling the whole thing. My first video on these, I poured them all over the floor. The numbers are also on the back, and the pans might not be as deep, but they're very wide, so there's a ton of paint in them. These are a nice little starter set if you want to just get going in paints. And the Gansai Tombis were only $28.99 for a set of 36. So it's something that you might enjoy. So that one, get this plastic thing out. That's that one. And it also comes with several metallics. There's a pearlescent, a silver, a gold, and a that looks like bronze, not copper, but it could be copper. But if you use these too heavily, they're gonna get more opaque on you. So that would be further down the list. Also, there's the Winsor Newton Cotman, which is a student brand of watercolor, but many professional artists use Cotman paint. I particularly don't care for Cotmans. I do have 2 tube paints of Cotman that aren't as bad as the pans, but they're very dry and they're rock hard. You can ruin a brush on these paints because they're very hard to reconstitute, in my opinion. Not everybody feels that way, but when you're used to paints that don't require a lot of reconstituting, I don't recommend these because the pigment just isn't as bright, and they're all right, but there are better pigmenting paints out there than these. So the next set that I wanted to show you was the White Knights by St. Petersburg White Knights. You might also see Leningrad White Knights. There's different versions of the name. Every time Russia changed the name of their cities, or their provinces or whatever, they changed the names of the paints. So these are by Nedevskaya, I think is her name. Nevskaya Palitra. Or maybe it's Palitra Nevskaya. Nevskaya Palitra. But anyway, they're St. Petersburg White Knights paints. This is a set of 36. This is a beautiful set. And right now they even have them on Amazon Prime, so you don't have to wait the month for them to arrive. I waited an eternity for these to arrive. But this is what they look like. The set of 36. They're beautiful artist quality paints. And the set of 36 right now is, dun, 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 let me find it, anywhere between $65 and $69. If you get them on Prime and you want them quickly, you're going to pay $69. If you want to wait a month, you're going to save $4, and you'll pay about $65. That's with shipping. But it comes with this nice little mixing tray that sometimes pops off. I have to pop it on, but once it's popped on, you're doing well. There's nothing to hold on to underneath because this is not a portable palette really, although it's great for traveling if you're going away for the weekend or whatever and you want to get some painting in. It comes with a little card, and I laminated it. I put the pigments on it and everything and names so you can see how pigmented these colors are. They're just beautiful. There is one that is fugitive, meaning it's going to dissolve into nothingness or white, and that is the violet, which is PV3. That pigment is a poor pigment. And then the quinacridone rose, they have down as a 2, which isn't as strong. But all in all, these are really good pigments, and they're beautiful, and they're artist quality. Very popular over in Europe, in the Russia area. Or if that's too much money, you can go with a small travel set. And I have both. And this is a set of 12. It gives you all the main colors that you would love to have, except for the black. I don't know why they put black in. I wish it was Payne's Gray, but this black is so black. It is an opaque black. I mean, you cannot, it may be transparent, but you can't tell. It is so black. Most blacks are kind of, but not this one. It is gorgeous. And then these are the 12 colors. And then to get them out, you can pop these little pins out and pull out your pans and change them. They have nice size pans as well. And for the small set, of St. Petersburg White Knights. You can get them for about $28 for the 12-pan set. They also sell a set of 24 for about $44. So whatever's in your budget, these are great paints for starting out with. I would recommend them. I really would. So that's those. I've pretty much covered, I think, all of the inexpensive brands that I would recommend. I'm sorry I've got my back to you. I'm just looking at all my palettes here. There's also this one. This is a Sennelier palette. This is the Student brand. I forget what it's called. Doesn't say. This is a portable one. It's got a band on the bottom to put your hand through. It's got a mixing tray on top. And it comes with 24, I think, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Yeah, 24 colors. And they're not very highly pigmented at all. Not my favorite palette. But they're inexpensive. I don't have the price written down, but they're pretty inexpensive. Now, out of all of these, depending on price, the Core or the Magello Mission Gold. Core is made by Golden, which is a great brand, U.S. made. And the Mission Golds, I don't know if they're made in Korea or Japan. Oh, Korea. It says made in Korea right on the back. Perfect. And these are transparent as well. They're beautiful. So one of these two, but you're going to pay more money. You're going to pay in the $60 range, 60-ish, you know. And if that is too much for you, then go with the St. Petersburg White Knights paints. That's my recommendation. So I hope that helped. Oh, there's another one here I wanted to show you real quick. I did a review on this about a year ago. This is called Pelican. These are all transparent paints. I'm not sure of their light fast quality though. I really didn't check it. I'm not fond of the palette setup because it's just very strange. But you got these plastic things that fit in to your thing here, and then there's 2 levels of colors. So you get 4, 12, 24 colors. These are called cakes. They're not really pans, they're cakes. And there's some nice transparent colors in this set. They're beautiful. If you're going to be using a journal to start out with for your watercolor, and you're going to close the book on that journal, then using any of these colors is fine. You don't have to worry about light fast quality. The other thing with this, which is nice, is that these become water cups, and they hook together like this. So you have a clean and dirty water side, and you can just set it right next to your palette while you're working, which is really convenient. And it's convenient for traveling with. So that is that one. But out of the ones altogether, those other ones, the St. Petersburg, the Core, and the Mission Gold are my top favorites. So I hope that was helpful to you. Recently, I had gotten an email from another person who was asking me about Daniel Smith paints. She wanted to purchase a set, like a travel set or something with pans, I was assuming. And Daniel Smith doesn't offer that. So I told her that you'd have to buy tubes. And she said it would be awfully expensive. And it's true. Daniel Smith paints aren't cheap, but they're actually cheaper than Winsor & Newton here in the U.S. So I prefer them. But I did find on Amazon a set of 10 introductory Daniel Smith colors. Gives you every color you would need. Your cool and warm red, yellow, and blue, some earth colors. You're all set to go. I think there's even green, but it's a beautiful set. So you get 10 tubes for around $66, I think it is, which is great. Now, they're 5 milliliter tubes, but you can still fill a pan a couple times with a 5 millimeter. I keep saying millimeter. I've been measuring. 5 milliliter tubes. And if you start with a new color and you're not sure if you're going to like it, I always recommend get the small one. Why waste your money spending on a big tube if you're not going to like the color and then you feel like you have to use it up because you spent all that money on it? So, yeah, start out with an introductory set for Daniel Smith. If you just type that in on Amazon, Daniel Smith introductory set, you'll find it. And it's in the $65 range, I think. So I hope that was helpful. Now, on to Catherine's question. I'm going to point the camera down and I'm going to show you some alternatives for yellow ochre. Okay, so let me get started by first putting down a little swatch of yellow ochre. Actually, I'm going to put it right in the middle. This is yellow ochre. And if you put it on thin, you're not going to get too much of a muddy look to it. But if you get it heavy, it's going to get very opaque looking on you. That's a little bit heavier, but I'm using a squirrel brush here, so it holds a lot of fluid. Okay, now my favorite alternative, which is a richer color, but I still like it, is raw sienna. Raw sienna is like yellow ochre, but it's got just a tinge of red to it, I think. And that tinge of red makes it a richer color. But this is the raw sienna. And that would be my favorite replacement for it. Now, it's still one of the earth tones, but it doesn't tend to muddy up as much, I don't think. And then the other alternative color that you could use would be quinacridone gold. And this is quinacridone gold. It's got more yellow to it. So I guess a lot would depend on what you need it for. If you mix the two together, the raw sienna and the quinacridone gold, I'm just going to mix two of them together here, see what we come up with, and we'll see if the color is anywhere near the yellow ochre. I suppose that would be your closest match. Raw sienna and quinacridone gold. If you really needed to match a color, that would match pretty well. Now, I'm going to go ahead and dry these real quick so we can see what they look like dried. Okay, well, they're almost dry. This heavier one that I put on, this is another yellow ochre, only muddier. So here's your yellow ochre. Darn it, I keep getting caught on my watch. Here's your yellow ochre right here. This is Quin Gold. And this is raw sienna. And raw sienna is very close in color. Quinacridone gold is a brighter, more yellow color. This has a little more red to it, if you ask me. Not as red as burnt sienna, but it's got some red to it. And the quinacridone gold has more yellow to it. Mixing the two together brings it pretty close as far as a match goes. Now here's my swatch card for my Daniel Smith colors. And I have my Quin Gold here, yellow ochre here, raw sienna here. Now granted, I may have put these on a little thicker than my yellow ochre, but I was probably trying to keep my yellow ochre transparent. So that's what they look like next to each other. So I hope this helps, Catherine. And if you want to try some raw sienna, I would recommend raw sienna. Quinacridone gold is also gorgeous. You can use it very thin in order to get colors like sand and that kind of thing. The same with raw sienna. It just depends if you want to go on the yellower side or on the redder side. So it's up to you. Or get both. So anyway, that's it for You Asked For It. If you have any questions for my next You Asked For It segment, then just leave me your questions down below or let me know at any time and I will add you to the next episode. So everybody have a terrific day. Remember, be courageous, paint with wild abandon, and most of all, be kind to each other. Bye-bye.